Challenger Houston's with you at Mila. We have a TV picture. And still dropping in and out a little bit. Let it stabilize. Okay, that looks good.
Box. How's that, Roy? You read us all right?
Okay, read you 5 by now, and we have a clear picture.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 2 hours, 18 minutes and counting. The Astrovan and convoy that are bringing the 4-man crew for STS-5 is just coming up toward the pad area at the present time. This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 2 hours, 11 minutes, 5 seconds and counting. And the flight crew has reached the White Room on the crew access arm and are preparing for their entry into the orbiter. T-minus 15 seconds, 13, 12, 11, 10. We are go for main engine ignition. 6. We have main engine ignition. 3, 2, 1. And solid motor ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of the first operational space shuttle mission with 2 satellites on board, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Well, I'll start it off a little bit. Here you see our engines firing up. Our 3 main engines, tremendous amount of thrust there. After we got a few hundred feet into the air, we were into the roll pitch maneuver. Bob, why don't you carry on there, or someone else?
Well, as you all know, very shortly we found ourselves 2 minutes into the flight here, coming up with the SRB separation. We felt on board and saw the separation of a bright flash across all our windows, and we felt the somewhat of a shock or a jolt as they departed. The vehicle had been slightly rough. We felt some bumping, not more than we had expected, but a little bit on the way up during first stage, which kind of went away as we got out of the atmosphere.
Mark 1 minute, pass through max Q, still looking good. Throttling engines back to 100%, giving a go at throttle up.
Columbia, this is Houston, you're go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up. Mark 1 minute, 10 seconds, Columbia now 7 nautical miles in altitude, 5 nautical miles downrange. Mark 1 minute, 20 seconds, Columbia now 10 nautical miles in altitude, 7 nautical miles downrange.
Columbia, Houston, we're monitoring a slightly depressed trajectory expected because of the headwinds.
Roger, understand. 1 minute, 35 seconds, I was Capcom Bob Stewart advising the crew a slight depression because of the headwind. Columbia moving out now as pre-planned on 3 good engines. 1 minute, 45 seconds. Brand, Overmyer, Lenoir, Allen now coming in the last traces of the Earth's atmosphere. Columbia now 19 nautical miles in altitude, 18 nautical miles downrange. Mark 2 minutes, standing by now for solid rocket booster separation confirmation.
Roger, PC.
Columbia now 25 nautical miles in altitude. 2 minutes, 15 seconds, confirmed solid rocket booster separation.
We've had MECO now, and after a very smooth ride, we did not feel the tank come off to any extent at all. Vance puts in a 11-second plus X burn, which captured these pictures for us as these are being taken from the belly camera. We can see the extent of the tank, and as we slide up past it during our plus X burn, you can just see the whole picture working. And I think this is a very spectacular picture coming up of the staging itself. Boosters do their thing and tumble away from the tank, and pretty soon you'll see some tremendous footage of the drogue chutes on the SRBs pulling out, and clear-cut proof that the SRBs do in fact land in the water and are there for us to retrieve. absolutely spectacular shot here.
Fantastic.
Meanwhile, we were on the second stage, which the only words I can describe it were just absolutely smooth as glass. It's just unbelievable, just kind of a humming noise in the background, and that's about all you can say. It was just so smooth.
It's interesting to note here that after Ken lost his SRBs, they diverted all the photography to the SRBs, and we're pressing on. Who knows where we are?
I would suspect that this time we're probably almost 60 miles high while these are impacting down, and probably 100 or so miles downrange by now. But we can see here that the SRBs float very nicely, and my understanding is they're retrieved by the retrieval force at Kennedy, and we're towed in and are in pretty good shape. So I think this is clear-cut proof that we do, in fact, get the SRBs back.
We're carrying on this flight 3 different student experiments, which is a lot of fun for us to carry, and we're very, very pleased to have a chance to carry them. And I thought I'd just briefly run through what they are. They're in these 2 lockers, and in the top locker here are 2 experiments. The first is an experiment that belongs to Michelle Izzle of Wallingford, Connecticut. Michelle's a freshman at American University now, but was in high school when she suggested this. It's an experiment right here, and it is a growth of a crystal experiment in zero gravity. Since it's in zero gravity, I don't want to move it out and shake it because the crystal is forming right now. We turned it on shortly after we got onto orbit here, and I won't move it out, and I'll be very careful when I move this one above it. The second experiment is this one, which is officially called or known as the growth of periphera experiment. It's really growing sponges, if you will. They don't look much like sponges, but they are a sponge solution, and it's an experiment proposed by a young man named Aaron Gillette from Winter Haven, Florida. Aaron has a theory that sponges grow using the force of gravity to help them. Bob, the third experiment is quite a complicated one contained here. It has to do with convection, or the motion of fluid in zero gravity. We'll fasten this down to the floor and then use a series of fluids placed in heater pans to see if fluid in zero G convex, that is to say, moves and cells in the way it does 1G. And of course we think that it will not, and indeed it should form patterns that are quite dissimilar to what we see in similar experiments on Earth. We don't know exactly what to expect. We're going to set this up and we'll report back to you as soon as we can.
Does this peanut feeding exercise have anything to do with the way he was using his feet yesterday?
All right, that's his reward for the successful deploy yesterday.
How are you getting the picture of the mid-deck?
Roger, Vance, we got an outstanding picture down here.
Okay. Of course, the mid-deck is our living quarters, and we eat, we do experiments down there, we sleep all over the spacecraft. There's a bathroom down in the mid-deck, which is off to the side. Up here, again, on the flight deck, we're doing everything that has to do with control of the spacecraft and operation of the cargo handling equipment and so forth in the back. Yeah, we have a nice picture of the Earth here, which I wanted to jump back to. The cloud patterns up here that you see are just fantastic. now Bob and I are going downstairs to the mid-deck, and we'll try to get everybody into the picture.
Roger, and we're getting beautiful color picture down here.
Okay, we're down here, as you can see, in weightlessness. It's a little hard to get organized. We all have to have something to hold on to. It's quite interesting, though, because, you can just call the floor or the ceiling or vice versa. And as a gang of four here, why, we have quite a bit of fun and spare time just doing all this EVA stuff.
Okay, mid-deck, or do you have the out-the-window picture?
Got a good shot of you on the mid-deck.
Okay, Roy, I thought this morning, since we've had a little change of plans here, I thought I might demonstrate to you and to everybody else an activity that we have to do every morning here on Columbia, and the millions of American men are, I'm sure, at this very moment, getting out their razor blade and ready to do a little shaving. So if you'll bear with me, I'll go ahead and demonstrate to you. First of all, we have our drop kit that we take the shaving cream out of. Do a quick lather up here. Never have to worry about putting things back for a while. If you want a little bit of water, we just reach over, grab the water gun. And we go ahead and start shaving. And since we don't want things to get too far away, we just go ahead and reach back and grab that and grab the razor. So you see, Americans all over, it's very fitting that we keep a clean-shaven face up here, and we're it's real simple to do and real easy, and the task is not a very difficult task at all. We just go ahead and keep our feet planted on a spot on the floor and keep them floating away, because if we don't do that, we'll just float right out of the picture. It's a small one, a rather normal gyroscope that I hope you can see. Are you holding it? And it has no stability at all until you spin it. But once spun, it's beautifully stable. Remembers which way it's going. That, of course, was the principle on which the satellites which we launched a couple of days ago is based. They remain stable just like that. Here's another interesting gyroscope with beautiful stability like that. It also is stable
like that when I turn it on at the end. This is like a book. It's shaped like a book, as you can see. But if we put it sideways like this, it has a rather peculiar property. It doesn't like to stay stable at all. Boy, can you see our sign?
We can see the sign, but we can't read it. It's a little out of focus. Okay,
We just went up to fix it.
we're focusing in on it now. All right. Well, you guys certainly lived up to that motto.
Okay, Mike, we're at 52, coming back down 51 RPM.
Roger, we copy. You guys look good. And Columbia, Houston with 1 minute to go over Hawaii. Santiago AOS is 8:11:02, and we're looking forward to a good deploy report. Everything looks right on the money to us down here right now.
Great. We'll see you there. We're looking forward to 1-2.
See you shortly, Mike.
Watch the spin start.
And this, we think, is what you on the ground saw, because this was being sent back by television. And the same view, but from the other window during the deploy. And that is exactly how it looked. The only difference, in real life, there was a large and loud bang just as it let loose, which got our attention, believe me. And it was the sound of the pyros firing to release the hold-down clamps.
And as we expected, because we had kept the Columbia in a relatively benign thermal attitude throughout the last couple of days, we had absolutely no problems with the doors closing, and they just worked slick as a whistle. We were just real pleased with it.
And we see the Pac-Men again.
Right. Just as a reminder, the radiators are extremely shiny, and that's what the reflection on the radiators. The radiators cover the inside of the door, and they are very shiny, and they're reflecting all the inside of the payload bay.
At this point, we were getting ready to come home. I don't think we were all that anxious to come home. We were enjoying it up there. But, we were going to be running out of all the things you need to sustain operations up there in a day or two.
It is not true that I ate all the food, so we had to come home because of lack of food. That's not a true statement.
Doors are really impressive when they come shut. Just very neatly tailored, the way they come together and latch. Payload bay went dark, of course, with the doors closed, and here we are in the front cabin. I might explain that the light up above is switches and lights on switches. Down below, the bright areas around our instrument panel. But now you see the sky starting to turn rust color as the vehicle heats up.
And it's like being inside a neon sign a little bit. It gets brighter and brighter and then stays for a good part of the reentry. We re-entered during the night time, and so we could see this rose-colored glow for a long period of time.
any case, I'm just about ready to get the gas canister from the Air Force Academy going here. I was going to take a look at it with a TV picture, the TV camera that's outside, the one that's just on the other side of the bulkhead here, and I'll give you a look as well.
Sounds good.
There is the Japanese gas canister, which is investigating the production of snowflakes in orbit, and then the Park Seed Company canister, which is going to be looking at the space environment's effect on seeds. The middle one is from the Air Force Academy, and that has a half a dozen different experiments on it. There's a metal beam joiner, where they're going to try to join metals in space, a miscible alloy, a foam metal, a crystal purification, a microorganism development, and an electroplating experiment. Okay, this is a little encoder which is used to turn on the gas experiments. It's a common encoder and it's used for all of the gas experiments, but there's a code which is used to address each. The Air Force Academy experiment has two relays in it, and I'll call up the first and turn it on. It shows now that it's latent, and I'm going to turn it over to hot.
As you can tell, Brian, this is looking at the port side, and he's just going to scan on across there. But yeah, this is the office. This is where we do our business, and that's what we got it set up to do.
Well, it looks real ship shape.
Well, we try to keep it neat.
This project has been brought to you by the Geritol Bunch. F Group. We didn't have a chance to rehearse this very well. Okay, we're very pleased to find this stashed somewhere in the vehicle. And it just goes to bring home that old adage, is that Space Whiz John Young has said that space flight is really for old folks. And, well,
that's great.
And maybe that's why we try a little harder.
Turn it down just a little to get the glare off of it. There, 111 years of aviation experience. All right.
Well, we try to please. Very good. Maybe it's just our switch here or something.
Looking at a great shot of the aft end of the IUS now.
What camera are you looking at?
We got Bravo right now, looking right straight at you. And we're over on camera Charlie now, got a great picture. Go ahead and zoom it in as close as you can get.
Start the clocks. Okay, it's moving. Boy, it moves slow. It is slow. Here it comes. It ain't real slow at this end. Oh, it's coming up. Can't look.
God,
Go back
this
down
is
there.
absolutely fantastic.
Go back to
How
your-
long have we waited for this?
Go back to your panels.
No, I don't want the panel. I
The
don't want
whole
the panel.
world is over at that panel over there. Just stay
The
there.
motion's gray. That's all I need to know. Look at that beauty. This line right here, from the 29
What
gets
line?
to this line. That beam right there.
Okay, we're almost there.
This is as it was moving up toward the final attitude. 45 degrees, you can see on our protractor that was our minimum elevation angle. Once it got to 45, if everything else was okay, that thing was going.
whether we got the 58 or not. Now, that's the nozzle of the solid rocket motor, and this is the instant of separation. As Don said, we really had to kind of check the television view from this aspect to see that it was, in fact, deployed. Absolutely perfect deployment mechanically. It came straight out of the ASE, the Airborne Support Equipment, with no rates, just at, again, at its 0.4 of a foot a second, which isn't all that fast. And now at about a minute after deploy, as we thrust backward toward it, and you're not sure the thing is really clear of the orbiter, but that does cause you to pitch down also or away from the thing. But nevertheless, it gets its attention when you're thrusting back toward a 17 or 18 ton piece of metal in the sky. The white part is the IUS, the inertial upper stage. Here's where we started to thrust toward it and pitch down. This was on EVA day. That's Story and Dawn in the airlock, beginning their pre-breathe. You know, requires 3.5 hours of pre-breathe on 100% oxygen to make sure, or to have better assurances that we've flushed nitrogen out of the system so folks don't get the bends when they're exposed to the lower pressures in the suit. Bo was cleaning up the airlock and making sure that everything was ready for him. This photo was taken through a, no, this is from the aft TV cameras. That's the airlock hatch being opened in preparation for airlock egress. And this is Story, like a butterfly coming out of its chrysalis.
I'll discuss the extravehicular activity, or the spacewalk. The thing we wanted to test and evaluate there was our ability to do construction type work, repair type work in the environment of the shuttle orbiter. We wanted to check out our suits and the life support systems on the back that we call EMUs. We wanted to evaluate how we check them out before we take them into the airlock and depress and take them outside. We did have 3 suits on board. We wanted to look at our ability to move about in the payload bay, up and down the longerons, or up and down the long distance of the payload bay, and across the bulkheads fore and aft. We wanted to look at our safety tether dynamics, the safety tether we wear, to be sure that we stay connected to the orbiter. We wanted to exercise various tools, winches, and in summary, our basic ability to do work, constructive type work or repair type work in the environment of the orbiter.
It's just kind of a gee whiz thing. I tell you, this thing really does have a Star Wars effect. 65 feet is a long way back, and it's a big vehicle, and it's still surprising. You look back, you're in orbit, you're in a spacecraft, and the damn thing has got wings and a tail. It seems innocuous. And when those guys were in the back end of the vehicle, they were far enough away, and everything just absolutely silent. You know, you're gliding over the Earth due to some fortunate magic, and they're back there having a heck of a good time in this case, and it really does have, it's more Star Wars-y than Star Wars, I think. Except Star Wars spaceships have wings also.
Musgrave now at the aft bulkhead, evaluating the handholds on that rear wall of the spacecraft cargo bay.
Got a good shot of Mother Earth behind you there, Story.
Deeper pool, and I've been used to working in.
Musgrave comparing the spacewalk to his earthly training in the water tank, saying it's a little deeper pool than he's used to working in.
We're looking right at you, Story, with camera Bravo.
I see you.
It's a fantastic view. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, now we're going to see what the safety wire would do to me if I ever got loose. What it would do right here. About 3 more, Bob. Can you go now? Okay. I think you can make it now, probably. John, we're hung up real bad on getting the winch to winch out. We've been through it before with tension on it. Cannot get it to ratchet out, and we cannot get it to reel out.
We copy?
We've been through the usual fixes.
Story, is the winch rope attached to the IUS at this time?
Yeah, it is.
You can't get any slack in that line at all, huh, Story?
That's right, not enough to get off the hook. Now, a good possibility is if I can get it off the roller up above, I'll get some slack that way. Okay, I got it. I yanked it off the roller. Now, before we do anything else, if it isn't going to release, we'll get the snatch block undone. We'll know we're home free.
Not until you lift it over that hook.
Okay, guys, what do we got left to do out here? Bay looks clean. I believe we've done it, Story.
These were taken from the TV photo chase on return to Edwards. You can see the weather was as good out there for entry as it was in Florida for the launch. This is through the HUD, through the head-up display. The HUD was a tremendous asset, I feel, toward making what subjectively from the operator's point of view, that I thought was a relatively smooth approach and landing. Here we are in a flare. Preparation for landing. This almost counts as a carrier landing, as you'll see in the next photo, by an overwater approach here.
Edward dry lake bed.
Right. We felt a little turbulence, one gust on the final approach, and it just sailed right through it with no crew response necessary. The touchdown was nominal. From my standpoint anyway, relatively smooth. I didn't hear any gasps, so you guys might all have been holding your breath or something. Speed brakes are starting open. Our standard procedure, as soon as the main gear on deck, I call speed brakes open, and Bo manually opens the speed brakes to help impart some drag to it. But anyway, it's starting to come together, folks. The whole system is, we're on our way. Did feel good to be back on the ground again, even though it was a tremendously exhilarating experience. But that is just such a huge, impressive vehicle, especially when it's sitting on the ground. I cannot say from my own personal standpoint how pleased I was with the performance of this vehicle. And I just can't say too much about this vehicle, which demonstrates to me the maturity of the entire shuttle program, the shuttle transportation system.
Challenger Houston, we have a TV picture now. It really looks beautiful.
Okay. We agree.
We'll handle the pan and tilts on the stuff in the middeck if that's okay. I mean, not on the middeck, correction, in the back in the payload bay, and y'all can play with all the other stuff.
That'll be fine, Grip.
If you look in the aft cockpit, you'll see that the doc here has his stethoscope out.
Okay, we got that now.
I think he's healthy, though.
We're getting a lot of glare off of Norman's head.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Wasn't nice, Big John. Wasn't nice.
It's hard to set up the lighting for Norm. Just have a comm problem here sometimes. That could happen with any one of us. Except Sally.
Yeah, I was going to say except Sally.
That should be a little bit better.
We've all decided to be nice to Norm, though.
We're looking right at you, Rick.
Hello, Steve. Well, I'm looking right back at you. We were kind of hoping to seeing some of the lava flows over Kilauea, but our attitude may prevent that.
We copy.
Okay, Guy, we've got the experiment on now for the heat pipe, and we also have managed to get loaded the solar cell attitude, the solar inertial attitude, and we'll be ready to go on that on time. We're running the mass spec now, Guy, in program 4.
Roger, thank you. That's what we want.
It is swiveling.
And Challenger, we'd like the heat pipes turned on now, even though we're away from the terminator.
Okay, I copy that, and it's in work.
Thank you.
I'll be observing the 1 minute wait here, and I'll have the experiment on shortly.
Okay, I activated it at 2 days, 20 hours, 43 minutes, and as soon as we started the system status check, we got an out of range on pressure 1, and it was reading 0, essentially. It's since gone up, and I don't think it's a problem. I can give you a readout on that if you want, but it was up to 1.5 or so by the end of the status check.
Hey, Sally's going to show you this morning the visual results of the PAM deploy yesterday on the Anik satellite, and she's going to control it here from the aft station. So if you folks are ready to look and record, she's ready to send it down to you, and we'll chat at you while we're doing it.
What we're doing right now, Rick is rewinding the VTR and setting it up for the beginning of the sequence. And as soon as we get it, what we'll be showing you is what you ought to be seeing pretty soon is the start of mechanical sequence, and you can see the send shield opening up on the Anik. You saw a little bit of the jump there that we saw yesterday.
We saw that.
And you can see it opens up fully here with no real problems, and the thing that would happen next in this sequence would be the removal of the restraints, and we're going to jump ahead just a little bit here on you and show you the tail end of that in the spin-up.
Okay.
And we'll give you a flight deck picture while Rick is fast forwarding to that. And right now the restraints are just coming out and it's about to spin up. And there it goes.
Of course, we spun it up to 50 RPM. Yesterday we saw 51.0 RPM at the top of the cycle.
Looks good.
It's taking about 30 amps on each of the motors, and then when we got stabilized out, it was taking 6 to 8 amps. Looked real good.
Okay, and we decided that once you've seen it spin up, you've seen it spin up, and now we're going to cut ahead to just before deploy and show you the last few seconds of terminal sequence and show it actually going out of the bay.
Okay.
And of course, what's going on in the meantime there is they're getting the spacecraft configured and ready for its flight, and then getting the various ordnance and safe and arm devices ready to go just prior to the time that the GPC releases the Anik.
Okay, and we've got it on now. You ought to be seeing a picture of it spinning up in the bay from camera Alpha.
Looks great.
And there she goes.
That's a shift over to the Delta camera, and you can see the KU band antenna there very briefly. Right about now, as I was watching this thing go out, John was yelling at me, throw the last switch, throw the last switch.
We got the switches, no problem. All of us agree this is by far the best simulation of a PAM deploy that we've yet seen.
Yeah, that's the best one we've seen in a while.
The visuals are a lot better, and we appreciate you keeping Sim Soup behind his curtain where they couldn't put in any malfunctions.
And we got 2 sun shield motors enabled at this time.
We copy.
Showing good current, 0.2 amps on both motors. And Crippen reports that it's coming open.
We see the spin up.
Okay, and what you're seeing now is the very end of terminal sequence. It'll be popping out any minute now. And same thing on Palapa as with Anik. We really felt a kick when it left the bay.
Did that faint vibration continue through the deploy, or did it stop when you deployed?
It stopped with the deploy. And that's real pretty. That's my first view of it.
Beautiful.
Okay, and if you've seen enough of that, we're going to now take you forward to something we didn't show you before, and that's the burn.
That was real good, troops. We'll go ahead and see that now.
Okay. The Commander Crippen and Captain Hauck seated at the front and get ready for the burn post-deploy. Of course, Commander Crippen is a captain, too. Get that Navy stuff mixed up. Effective business, May 5th.
We can tell you're steely-eyed from here.
we're all real pleased, obviously, to be a part of the fourth successful PAM delivery, and we look forward to many more as the years go on.
Well said, John. We feel the same.
We had to go back and pick up configuration echo again. Had a little camera problem on it. And we're on the first step there.
Okay, sounds like you're a little ahead of time.
To be ahead of the timeline. Okay, if they didn't mind for very briefly again, I was going to put you back on camera Delta.
Very good.
What are we over now, DJ?
Just south of New Orleans, I'd guess.
Okay, coming down J86 maybe.
Looks like it.
Okay, for those TDRS guys that are there, we're on page 9-20 on flight specific, and John just picked up point 1.
That's beautiful. Another space first.
To beat Bruce and his MMU.